From apps that help Fortnite pros edit faster and beat enemies to picking up weapons, to hidden tools they use to plan tournaments, record every highlight, and even lower their ping. These are all the apps you'll find on almost every Fortnite pro's desktop that help them get an advantage in-game. Starting off with keyboard software, if you look at almost any Fortnite pro's desktop, you'll usually spot apps like SteelSeries or Wootility. The main setting every pro changes is actuation point, which lets you control exactly how far a key has to be pressed before it registers. Peterbot shared his settings recently. Almost every key is set to 1.0mm, with the only exception being his pickup bind, which he lowers all the way down to 0.1. By setting his pickup bind to the lowest sensitivity, it means he gets the fastest possible weapon pickup without making the rest of his keyboard overly sensitive. As for the other feature worth mentioning, that's rapid trigger. Unlike a normal key with a fixed reset point, rapid trigger dynamically resets the key based on when you start releasing it. This means repeated actions like editing can feel much quicker, and that's actually the reason why Peterbot uses this on just his edit bind, because it's something he heavily spams. It's not something you'd enable on every single key of the keyboard. Next up is mouse software. This is where every pro sets their DPI, polling rate, and any other mouse specific settings. After researching the settings that pros actually use, I did notice a very clear trend. The majority of pros use 800 mouse DPI, and yes, while this is still personal preference, there are a couple of reasons why so many pros have gradually moved away from 400. 800 DPI tends to make smaller mouse movements feel a lot smoother, and when you compare 400 DPI to 800 DPI in testing, you can also see the sensor latency is slightly lower. And then for polling rate, that followed a very similar trend. Even though modern mice support upwards of 2K, 4K, and 8K hertz, the majority of Fortnite pros still stick with 1000 hertz. Now, while increasing your polling rate can, of course, reduce your input delay, you can see here that the improvements become much smaller the higher you go. But the worst part about this is the battery life gets noticeably worse as well, and that's one of the main factors that puts people off. Not only that, but if players like Peterbot and Vico are winning championships on 1000 hertz, it's safe to say that if they're not using it, it probably doesn't make that much of a difference. Another app you'll notice time and time again on Fortnite Pro's desktops is exit lag. Peterbot has been seen using it for years, and even now it still shows up on his desktop. It literally only took a few clicks to set up, and even though my ping was already pretty low, exit lag still managed to lower it further and make my connection feel smoother. But how does it actually do this? Well, instead of your connection taking the default route to the Fortnite server, exit lag uses its AI route optimizer to search for the fastest route in real time. You can try it for completely free with no credit card needed by using my link in the description or by scanning that QR code on screen. Once you've signed up, you can test it out on over 4,000 supported games, and if it improves your ping, you can take advantage of using my code to get 50% off the annual plan plus 30 days of Discord Nitro Basic included with new subscriptions. So lower your ping like the pros using the link below. Next up is Nvidia settings. These are mainly configured in two different apps, the Nvidia control panel or the newer Nvidia app. One of the biggest settings pros change is digital vibrance, which can increase the color saturation and make players or other enemies stand out against the environment. You'll see a lot of them using a higher setting than the default 50%. I think Shark maxes his out, while Peterbot uses like 60 or 70%. You'll even see some pros increasing their brightness and contrast as well. Another common use of these settings is adjusting the scaling mode to lower their input delay and creating custom resolutions to get a stretched resolution. Then inside the Nvidia app, you can change all the settings you can in the Nvidia control panel, but with the Nvidia app, you've got a lot of other stuff like game ready driver updates, automatic GPU tuning, and quite a few other things that pros do take advantage of. Next up though is monitor settings, and this one is a little bit different because these settings aren't changed in Windows or Fortnite. They're changed directly through the monitor's own menu, but before you change any of these settings, it's important that you make sure you're using the highest refresh rate inside of Windows. I know this is obvious to the majority of you, but I've seen too many players buy a new 240Hz monitor and they've just accidentally left it on 60Hz. Getting back to the monitor settings, there's usually two you'll find in here. One is the response time. From what I've seen with pros, they usually use the middle one, as using the fastest option can create overshoot. On BenQ monitors, the AMA on high is usually the safer starting point, and on Alienware, super fast is the safest. Then if you've got a BenQ monitor with extra features like DIAC that can massively improve motion clarity, that's a setting that mostly all pros take advantage of to get the clearer motion. Next up is recording software. Every pro has a way of capturing their best clips, whether that's to create highlights and post it on their YouTube, or just to look back on gameplay and review it. One app you'll see quite often being used for this is Nvidia Shadowplay, and Peter Bott was recently seen using this on stream, where he actually showed off his own recording settings, which are surprisingly standard for the beast of a PC he has. You can see here though, he records at 1080p, his FPS is at 60, his bitrate is at 30, and he also keeps his instant replay set to 1 minute. This feature, by the way, allows him to press a keybind to instantly save the last minute of gameplay, so that definitely helps him create all the highlights over on his YouTube channel. Next is streaming software, and if you've ever watched a Fortnite pro stream live on Twitch, chances are they're either using Streamlabs or OBS Studio. Peter Bott, for example, has been seen using Streamlabs, while I've seen a lot of other pros stick to OBS. Both of them seem to do the exact same job, but just have different features to one another. The good news is though that both of them are completely free, so if you're considering streaming like the pros, you can't go wrong with either one of these. Next up is performance monitoring. Whenever you see a Fortnite pro testing out new settings, chances are they're using apps like this on screen to see if they're actually making a difference or not. These apps let you monitor things like FPS, GPU usage, CPU usage, temperatures, clock speeds, RAM usage, and just so much more, all in real time, and it makes it much easier to spot if things are bottlenecking, overheating, or just giving you performance issues that you never noticed otherwise. So instead of guessing whether an optimization has actually worked for you, use these tools to measure the result and see exactly what's happening behind the scenes. Next up is communication software, and these days there's only one app you'll find on almost every Fortnite pro's desktop, and that of course is Discord. The days of TeamSpeak and Skype are long gone. Whether it's playing scrims, playing in a cash cup, or even an FNCS, Discord has become the main way pros communicate with their teammates. It's also where most tournament servers, practice servers, and community events are hosted. But it's not just used for voice chat. You'll find that pros are constantly screen sharing, reviewing VODs together, discussing strategies, and planning their next tournament. So if you've ever watched a pro's desktop on stream and have noticed why Discord is always open in the background, you now know why. And finally, we have game planning tools. This is probably the most underrated one out of the entire list, because pros are not just randomly choosing where to land when they load into a tournament. They've used tools like Fortnite GG, drop maps, spreadsheets, and even sometimes drop calculators to fully plan everything before the game starts. This includes their exact landing spot, the loot route that they're going to take, nearby chest spawns, rotation paths, surge positions, and even backup plans if another team decides to contest them. We saw this a lot at the recent LAN event, where pros literally printed out maps and strategy sheets that they took into the tournament with them. It just shows how serious this part of the game has become. And those right there have been 10 apps Fortnite pros actually use. If you found this useful, make sure to subscribe for more videos like this, and let me know anything I should break down next. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.